Got it. Put my camera on. I'm actually in my car, so hold on a second. There we go. So, hi everybody. My name is Victor D'Angelo. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Villanova Insurance Partners, who owns PenX Insurance Company, which has the Stager Designer program. We wanted to get everybody together to let everybody know it's today's from my team. Just to do introductions, it's me and Leah Check, who's the program director and lead sales for the Stager Designer and Organizer program as well. You met probably most of you probably met us. I'm going to assume in San Diego a couple conventions ago. We were there and we did a little talk. We sat down with a lot of you, and we also had a table. But anyway, we're excited to get some things organized here for your insurance. We had also have been doing the insurance on the back end for the franchisor for your insurance fund that extended coverages for you guys in several areas. That was a general liability, basically on a shared policy written through the franchisor that extended to all the franchisees for your project management and home remodeling part of your business. We also had covered you for your home management that originally was written on a blanket policy that extended coverage, but the carriers no longer would write it that way. So you got these individual policies the last couple of years, and it's been complex in trying to get the financial end of that, I'm sure more so from your end. And they've been all in total that with the umbrella have been on the expensive side. And everybody was speaking to a couple of people how much they were spending. There were also some issues as to making sure that people were really paying on a consumption basis, meaning whatever their sales and payroll, the size of their business, that was accurately depicted in what they were paying. So we're excited. We have a solution for you today that we're going to speak of, and then we're going to tell you the process. And I can get some things out in writing. I was telling some people I actually had to go to a funeral this morning, and I just stepped out of it. And but we didn't want to extend or delay the meeting time so that everybody got the word out, and we were able to progress here. But essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to once we get all these policies underwritten, we're going to scrap those franchisor policies that extend and have to be divvied up, and we're going to write individual policies for each of you in our captive, which some of you may be familiar with because you've worked with Leah in the past, because you do it for your staging business, a business owner's policy, either in our captive or with Hanover Travelers CNA prior. It would be for your staging business and your inventory. So what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite all of them, get rid of those other policies eventually once we've underwritten these. Everyone will get their individual policy that covers their staging business, any inventory they cover, their design business, and somewhat of the when I say somewhat, we're going to cover the management part of the business. But in speaking with everyone yesterday, that seems like that part of the business is either dwindling or maybe going away. So we're going to start covering all of them, and the goal is to underwrite them all, individually bill all of you, so you don't have to go through the arduous process of the franchisor giving you divvying up bills and so forth. They'll all be individually underwritten by the breadth of your company, and you will all get your own bill, all be covered for all the needs that you have in your business. And our goal, looking at this from 10,000-foot view is that we're going to be able to save everyone a good amount of money uh, um, at the end of the day. So that's the goal. And the purpose of today's call was to get you comfortable with that, introduce you to Leah, who's going to be underwriting them if you haven't already met her, and then have everybody, I'll let her speak to how we're going to get, everyone's going to have to go online and complete an app. But again, we can get an email out with all this in writing. But this was basically the get to know you and intro call. And obviously field questions if you had them. Leah, are you on?
Yep, I'm on here as well. Both my video and my like talking standpoint are split up right now just because of how the audio is broken out. But basically, in essence, what Victor's saying is that instead of having multiple policies for all the different aspects of your business, we're going to roll it all into one policy with one premium for the year. So that one policy is going to cover across everything that you do from the staging and from like the staging part of your business to the design aspects. So instead of having to work with you on like multiple different policies, we're going to have it all in one. So myself and the underwriting team will be responsible for underwriting each policy individually. So instead of, like Victor was saying before, the divvying up of like the premium, trying to figure out who's doing more of like the home management, who's doing more interior design, that type of thing. It's all going to be done on an individual basis. So you'll be rated exactly on what your business does rather than like what your business does in comparison to the whole. So myself and my team will be responsible for that. We'll be the ones looking at your applications. We'll be the ones that providing you with the quotes and kind of giving you the step-by-step process of like how this change is going to be. Our goal is to streamline it, but also make it just a lot more convenient from the carrier standpoint, but as well as from your standpoint, so you guys know what you're covered for, you know what you're paying each year. So there's not as much back and forth between you guys and the franchisor.
How long do you think the
Yep.
process will take? And what about for those of us who already use you for our local coverage?
I think our plan there
Yep.
is just to be able to roll it over, if that's correct, Victor. I think we're trying to roll it all into one policy. So once those applications are filled out, I would say within like 3 days, you guys should receive a quote, if not sooner, as long as all the information's accurate. And we'll have a call, we'll review all the coverages so that you guys know what you're exactly getting. And then our goal is to have like from the time applications received to when the policy's rolled over to be about a week.
So it's going to kind of depend on you guys getting online and completing a new app, even if you have a excuse me, business owner's policy with us. Every single person needs to go on and complete the application so we can review what it is that your business does. Because all of that was looking at was from a staging side. If you have more side facets to your business, there'll be places to put that in there. And then we're going to, as Leah said, we're going to encompass them all in one policy. And she's super fast. The question is, how fast can we get everybody on to complete the applications? And then she's going to work with you to get you bound. And then this year's going to be a little messy. So just everyone knows you're going to have to work with us and the franchisors because we're going to have to get these in place. You're going to have to pay for them. So we bind them. Then we're going to have to cancel those other policies and go through the whole, and this carrier's not us. We're going to have to go to, it's actually 2 or 3 carriers that we have to get the refund from, send it back to Bert and his team, and then, figure out how you're going to get your money back from that. That will not have happen anymore in the future. This one time, because it's coming up when we came up with this solution after we already kind of found this and I kind of understood all the facets of what you guys are going through, as well as we really made some underwriting um, concessions to get this program in our captive because I think it's a nice fit. So yeah, it's really about getting online, getting the app, your information in, and let Leah start doing what she needs to do to get the things underwritten.
And you'll send out an email to all of us with the information on where we fill out the application and get started.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'll provide you with guys an email with the application, then my direct contact information. So while you're filling it out, if you're like, oh, I'm not sure what that means, or like, I don't know what they're asking for here, you can just call me directly and I'll be able to kind of walk you through what each question is. Kind of like throughout the application process, so the information's the most accurate, so that way you can get your quote faster and we can begin the process sooner.
Wonderful. Great to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
All your billing will be online. It's a direct bill to us. And you will have either one pay in full, pay in 2, or pay in 5, and they're consecutive payments. So it's 1 month, 2 months, or 5 months in a row. And it's all done online, either credit card or bank, and there's no paper. You would just, once you get into the program and you're completed, that'll be an automatic draw on whatever you decide. So we try and make it as streamlined as frictionless.
Can you give us an idea? I mean, you sort of made it sound like this is supposed to save us some money. Can you give us an idea of like what that's going to look like?
Yeah. So I can speak in ranges because it's unfair to say what one person's doing in sales and payroll, as opposed to other, or how many of the 3 facets of their business and how deeply they're in there. But the idea is to consolidate. If you already have a business owner's policy with us, and then you're paying, you know, $3,000 or $4,000 for these other policies, and you combine those, that there's going to be significant savings. So I don't know off the top of my head. I know where we land in the interior design space, and that's in the 1,200 to 2,200 space typically, because we also, by the way, I forgot to mention, all of you will have professional liability for your design business, which is important. You don't have that now. If you're in our staging program, you do get a small limit of professional liability, but all our uh, designers in our program outside of show homes, it gets a full professional liability. And when I mean that, I'm getting into the insurance nerd space here, but that means you get the complete professional liability, which never comes with a BOP. It's only in our program. Usually you just get a professional liability that excludes bodily injury and property damage. Ours has the full gambit. And so it's a really unique program. So to answer your question directly, I can't until we underwrite it, but I'm promising savings from overall what you're spending, and I'm thinking significant savings, because I think with the way we are going to underwrite this, it's going to work out.
Victor,
So,
when you say design coverage, are you talking about what we call updates, where we're doing renovations, that sort of thing?
That's correct. Yeah.
So, hi guys, this is Al. It's my understanding that the product is it covers staging, the home improvements, and the interior design. This supplement
That's
that
correct.
he's describing. Oh, and
That's correct.
as of today, it also includes home manager, correct, Victor? Or did we take that, and in our conversation, did we take that out yesterday?
We're going to be including that originally until you guys decide. We made, that's where we kind of had to make some concessions to say, hey, let's pick that up until you guys know exactly what you want to do with it for this solution.
Well, that's good to know, because the home manager business has not gone away for us. So we definitely need that liability coverage.
Okay.
Yep.
And you did say, Victor, it'll be an all-inclusive, which includes general liability and all once we're all said and done, correct?
Yeah, it'll be a policy with general liability, professional liability, and if you have inventory coverage.
And then do we add workers' comp separately? Because we have workers' comp with you now.
Yeah, so that would be excluding workers' compensation. That still is a different product. We don't write that in house. That wasn't part of the franchisor program. So if you have, that's still a coverage that you would either get through us or get through somebody to cover if you have employees in payroll. So there would be no change. If you have that with us, there would be no change in that policy. That policy would still come from whatever or wherever Leah placed that.
Mhm.
So are you guys familiar with some sort of insurance agency called Music is their acronym? Does that have anything to do with you guys? Have you guys ever heard of that?
I know the carrier music.
Got a
There's
weird
a carrier.
I got a weird letter from them this week saying my policy was being canceled for non-payment, and I've never heard of them. There was no contact information.
Yeah. So that's the individual policy for the home management. We've had some issues with the billing, and we're working through that to get any of those. Most of them have been reinstated, and I've been working with the wholesaler, which is RT Specialty, who places it with music, to make sure by the end of the day today that there's no lapse in coverage for anyone.
Okay, so I don't need to do anything. I don't need to worry.
No, nope, we're on it.
All right, thanks.
That will go away though, by the way. That's one of the policies that will go away. So, and you know, we'll when we cancel those, we'll figure out the reimbursements and all that through Bert and Alan and you know, the Showhomes team.
Will there be a way for us to see what we have been paying to corporate for insurance, say over the last year so that we can compare what this rate is going to be moving forward on an individual basis?
I can give you Bert would have to give you, I assume, the umbrella and GL portion that because I believe he divides it up. And I think I can help you guys with the home management individual policy for music because I think they're individually priced already. So I think with a combination of, yeah, we can be transparent there. Is Bert on?
He is not.
Okay.
His autopilot is on, which is always good.
I'll talk to him about that. I don't want to speak for him, but I don't think there would be a problem there.
Hey, this is Christy. So corporate can run a report and show each franchise what they've paid in to corporate for their insurance.
Christy, is that going to be just the revenue-based calculation or the actual underlying policy information?
The revenue based.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for corporate, but
You know, you have those stars on the other side of this, and kind of see the tip of the one.
Can
On this one.
go ahead,
Can
Kristen.
you mute your speaker, your audio?
I think Matt might be able to do it. Oh, there we go. Okay. Go ahead, Christy. You were saying.
Someone was asking a question.
Yes, Monica was asking a question about the difference between the revenue calculation versus the and I think the last answer you gave was that we were going to be able to provide the I think we can provide a breakdown of what was paid system wide and what was paid individually.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling that some of us have been supplementing quite a bit.
Yeah, that varies greatly by how many homes you've had, both home manager homes and staged homes. So hopefully the refund will be dispersed similarly.
yeah, that will go through corporate. We're gonna those policies will be reimbursed as to who paid them. So I'll work with Bill in our office. If it was all, I think it was all came from corporate show homes. I don't know off the top of my head, but those monies will be given back to whomever paid them originally, and then if that were corporate, then that would be you working that out with them.
Yeah, as of now, it was prepaid. It's been prepaid by corporate and it was prepaid by corporate initially, and so I've got to get clear with Bert on a couple items with regard to that. But currently there is a balance of prepaid insurance on this existing policy that is the umbrella that we've been paying into, and the savings is going to be considerable when when you undo the umbrella. But I
Right.
do know it's been prepaid. I know that much. It was
So is
prepaid.
there a
It was
surplus
prepaid
in the
before.
fund? Do you know?
That's what I need to. It's possible that, well, we have to figure out when we end coverage, and I think it's, as soon as all the applications are complete. Well, Victor, you're the one setting up the process, but my understanding is there's going to be everybody's got to apply, and then
Yeah.
the pricing has to be established, and then that's going to establish and then that will establish a time by which we can cut off one policy and start all of the other individual policies, and then that's going to drive the
Okay.
question of the difference between the difference between what was prepaid and what is owed.
Okay. And I have just two more comments / questions. The first question is to Christy, and that is, were you using fund accounting for the insurance bucket? And if so, is there an accounting surplus in that fund accounting bucket? And the second question is to Al, can we establish a deadline for when everyone has to reply by?
Yeah, I think, well, it's not my call yet, but I think I think we all want that to happen sooner rather than later. In fact, the current estimate that we were operating under when we started thinking about this was September 30th. So if we could get everybody's applications back in a week, I think that's what Victor and I and Bert spoke about yesterday.
Leah, if you can just get out an initial email with some of the information and the page. I don't know that you have everyone's email, but you can send it to Al or Bert, and they can get it out. I'm assuming now today. If
I
we
think
just
I
get
have
that part
it
out.
I think I have it from the spreadsheet that I was like confirming things back and forth with Bert, but I can come like whoever has the most up-to-date information for everyone's emails, I'll send out an email to everyone just containing the link to application, and then just like in a step-by-step process of how this is going to really work. So it's all written out, just because I feel like everyone has a lot going on. So sometimes these meetings, it goes in one ear and out the other. So as long as we can break it down visually for everyone, hopefully that'll help the process along.
Yeah, Monica, as I think about this a little bit, I'm not sure there's a surplus. I believe there is a prepayment, and the amount of that prepayment might or might not produce a surplus based on when we cancel. So does that answer your question a little bit better?
Yeah, it does. I just was comparing what we paid in last year versus our local policy, which is pretty duplicative of what our corporate policy is. Leah could answer that question better. And I mean, it's like 5 or 6 times
Yeah,
more.
all that's getting undone, right? In other words, what you're going to end up with is something that looks a lot more like your local policy.
Right.
In terms of, it's going to be probably going to be higher coverages and more specific coverages, but it's going to be significantly, it's going to feel like what you pay for your local policy, although it might be a little closer to a 75 or 80% increase on the local policy, but a 80% reduction in the other in the umbrella. You follow?
Yeah, I do. So I guess for those of us who are, because it's revenue based, for those of us who have higher revenues, I think we all are in a hurry to get this done so that we're not continuing to supplement other locations for their policy coverage for the umbrella. And that's why I'm being sort of heavy handed about what are the dates, when are we getting this done, how's it
Yeah,
happening?
so I think a week deadline is a fine goal. We'll let you know. Look, Leah's super on top of this stuff, and she doesn't pull any punches, so she'll be reaching out and saying, "Hey, these 4 people are on the naughty list, for lack of a better term. They got to get in, and until here, the unusual thing about this is because those policies cover everybody, the ones that you guys are referring to as umbrella policies, we
Mhm.
need everybody bound in order to cancel it. So the time
Gotcha.
is ticking on it. And it was bound, I believe, in July, or beginning of July. So we were July, August, September. So we're almost a quarter of the way through as of right now.
Mhm.
So
So I guess to
that's
my expectation is the only delay will be for where you don't have the right email contact from the list that you get, Leah. So I would
Mhm.
say if you send that email out and you haven't heard from somebody in a few days, just check in with maybe Christy and let them know that, hey, maybe this email didn't get to the right destination.
Yeah, definitely. No problem. I feel like I have been in contact with quite a few of you just over the last year confirming your coverages, especially if you're not written with our program. So I feel like I'm, kind of a bloodhound in that sense. I'll track you all down to make sure the application gets done. So I'll definitely follow up just so we can hit these deadlines and get everything transferred over.
So when will the whatever it is, 1% that's taken out of our royalties every month, when will that go away?
I think that's going to happen. I'll just I think that's going to happen as soon as the existing policy that was bound in July is canceled. Then we're going to the whole collective, the effort of collectively funding insurance is going to stop, and you're just gonna write a check to Victor and Leah for your individual policy. So it's gonna feel, for some of us, it's gonna feel really, really good.
Oh, good morning. This is Showhomes Raleigh, Fred Pearson. I'm sorry I came in late to the conference call, so I'm just wanting to recap a few things if that's possible. So if I understand correctly, the monthly amount that we pay to corporate will go away with the policy. We'll have individual policies. Will the individual policies be broken down into staging, restyle, inventory, a separate one for update renovations, a separate one for home managers? And if the home managers, will that be billed per house per month? Can you give me an overview on that?
Yeah. So we're no longer going to be we're going to underwrite every policy individually. And I'm not sure where you left off or not in the conversation, but what we're going to be encompassing all of them in one policy that's individually billed to each franchisee owner. So it's going
One
to be much
policy
more
So
will
the
convenient.
cover each of those services.
so general
Yes.
liability and property is the base of the policy, and that's called the supplemental coverage on the policies can include staging, home improvement, and home manager. And those and
It's yeah. So
I'm sorry,
you're
I
right.
keep saying
So
home manager. Staging and home improvement. No, it's staging, home improvement, and home manager. That's right.
So hold
yeah.
on.
So really, what this is
Your group,
about, guys, is that you have three basic coverages on the policy. You have general liability, as Al just said, property, and professional liability. Those three are the areas of coverage. When you guys talk about the things that you do, it's really about including or excluding the services that you're providing. So it's not really about, hey, do I have this coverage? You have those three coverages, and the limits are 2 million, 4 million, with 1 million on the professional. But what we're doing is we're including all your professional services, where if you go out on the street, you're not going to be able to find a policy that does that. But we're able to underwrite that in our captive. So it's really about what we're including and or excluding as your professional services. And we're including all areas of your business to make this work.
you're not separating out home manager from, which is a
No.
completely separate liability, from update renovation, which is a completely separate liability with vendors involved. I'm just trying to understand. Plus, when you send us a quote, will that quote be broken down so that we can see the cost and expense under that one single policy for those coverages, and so we can understand that you really can't group home managers and update renovations into one number?
So there are three different exposures to your point, but they're all under general liability. So it's all general liability coverage. It's just
Okay.
how are you rating it, and we're rating it by the exposure you have. So you have exposure in sales, payroll, and how many homes you manage. That's really how we're looking at it. That just depends on your pricing. It doesn't have anything to do with the coverage when somebody's asking you what's your coverage. It really, so for your edification, yeah, we're going to kind of break that out for you. But in terms of coverage, it's still just general liability. There's no, hey, do you have home managers general liability? It's,
Got it.
you have general liability and this is covered under my policy.
So Leah, we have a policy with you under the general for staging inventory. That will then terminate and a new policy will be reissued, correct?
Exactly. Yep. So that policy will be reissued. It'll be covered along with the home managing and the updates under one policy for general liability. So we would cancel your individual staging ones, and because it would all be covered under your new policy.
And that $5,000 we're paying in monthly, again, based on revenue and what was touched on, that $5,000 will go away to corporate, and hopefully there'll be a significant reduction that we will pay under our individual policy covering all three of those areas.
Exactly. Yep.
Outstanding.
Yep, that's the goal. Yep.
The only thing I would say is good luck trying to get all franchises to fill this in a timely manner.
I love a good challenge,
Gotcha.
so it'll be great.
Yeah, we're shooting a deadline for 1 week. The application honestly takes under, depending on how fast you are online. I mean, when we built it, it was built to be done within 5 to 10 minutes. I don't think it should take anyone much longer than that, unless there's stuff you have to pull. And since we have a lot of your information, most of you, it really shouldn't be that challenging.
Can we drop the people who don't respond in a timely fashion?
They can stay in the pool and we can keep collecting 1% until and then we can organize a reimbursement. That could, I mean, if it's not my call, but
So no, I don't think we can leave them in the pool because, as Victor stated earlier, we have to drop the pool as a whole versus
we have to drop the pool as a whole, so we can cancel the pool. But I think the participation in the pool is something that you have to opt out of by filling out a new application. Now, participation in the collection of premiums, not paying for a policy. In other words, I think if they are contributing to a pool and there's no policy to pay for that pool, then they'll get reimbursed. But the way to stop the participation in the pool is to opt out by filling out an application.
Okay, so I guess my question to Victor, because Victor had said everyone has to sign up. If we can't get people to respond and time is ticking, can we drop those people who are non-responsive and just cut them loose?
I see the distinction you're making, Monica. Okay.
When you say can we drop them, you mean from corporate or from insurance? Like what do you mean drop them from what?
Drop their insurance coverage, because you had said everyone who currently participates in the pool, which is every franchise location that currently exists with corporate, has to fill out the individual application and submit it to you guys. And the concern is that there will be straggler, the concern for some of us where there's real money at play here, is that there will be stragglers and it's going to extend our time. And I guess I just want to cut bait on those people who won't respond and just say, you're done, you're out, get your own insurance.
Understood. Now I understand. So that would be a corporate decision, not mine. If they choose to cancel the insurance, they could choose to cancel it now, for that matter, and nobody have insurance. And I'm not saying that's what we would want to do. So it's really a corporate decision to say we have 23 out of 24. I forget how many numbers you guys have here. Can we cancel the policy? If corporate says, yeah, we're canceling, that person's flying without insurance until they get it on their own or get into us, that wouldn't be our call. That would be, signed off by corporate.
Okay, gotcha.
I would explore the idea of identifying a policy that has to be collected, where the payment for it has to be collected the same way we're collecting it now, so that person is not in violation of not having insurance, but corporate is going to buy them insurance and collect in the same way we collect now until they opt out. I mean, that's, we cancel and then we
That's a
bind to
thought.
new
That's a
policies.
So Victor,
Go ahead, Matt.
no, I was just gonna say, I think we have been paying for everyone's, regardless if they pay or not. So we've had people not pay because for financial reasons. So Victor, what happens to those people in the future? Because it's going to happen. How long do they get till you cancel their policy? 1 month, or are you going to expect corporate to write you a check when they can't pay? Or have you thought about
No,
that?
so I mean, look, there's two parts to this. There's the insurance part, and then there's your sort of organizational bylaws. And now that we're embarking upon a new time where they individually get this because we're designing this basically for them, I think it's up to corporate to say, Matt, we are going to allow them to fly without it. We're going to put in place force stuff. So interesting thought Al had is, and I want to explore this, is could we force place, meaning we put in place exactly what we're doing for everyone individually, and corporate just pays for it and tracks them down for their insurance. I got to think about the legal ramifications of what the insurable interest is there, because it's no longer um, a uh, a a policy written that way. I'm drawing blank on the term that is eluding me. Sorry. So we could work through that, how you guys want to work that out. I mean, in our case, when they stop paying, it's 30 days. They're going to get notice, and if they don't pay within 30 days from that, they're going to be canceled. And we stay on our people, try and make sure that they don't go down that route, but there's always stories, situations, different things. I mean, one of the ways to really alleviate that is make everyone pay in full, and it's the easiest, obviously, for us. And since I don't know if they're paying in full now or paying monthly, but I think most people are going to realize such a savings that might be the best method anyway. I don't know. That's my thoughts. And then you guys are going to have to decide now, under this new way of doing individual insurance, what you guys are going to allow or not allow. We can always notify you guys, hey, this person's out of compliance, they don't have their insurance in place, it canceled, etc. And then you guys decide how you want to operate with that.
The other question I had, the general liability, the total coverage, we market this, in our websites, franchisees talk about, is it 4 or 5 million? I always get confused, but one of those numbers, it's in our training. So is that number going to change, or is it the same?
It's gonna change. So currently you have a 1 million underlying with a 4 million umbrella, so you have 5 million of coverage.
Okay.
And probably a 6 million aggregate, and you're going to be moving to a 2 million, 4 million policy. So that is a change, and we discussed that before with everybody prior to moving to this concept. If it's absolutely imperative
Is it
that
stacked?
you
That's,
have,
are those two
I'm sorry,
numbers stacked?
stacked. I'm not
Yeah.
So,
So that
It
if you
just
have,
stacked is typically an auto coverage
auto only,
term.
gotcha.
Yeah. So 2 million, 4 million means 2 million, you have 2 million per occurrence and 4 million of total coverage in any given year. So if you exhausted the 2 million at any time, you would still have 2 million of insurance to cover claims. And the thought talking to corporate was that should be adequate at this juncture. Now we could always go around if everyone feel like, or even if individuals felt like contractually they needed, Leah could set people up with umbrellas and individual umbrella policies. They're not going to be super cost effective. So I feel like if you can, I mean, 2 million, 4 million is a pretty good limit for we do stagers, designers, project managers all day long, and I mean, I don't know if we have anybody that requires umbrella limits up to 5 million. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but yeah.
Typically, the
We could take that on
the
a case.
$4 million limit maxes out, like from what I've seen, just from certificate requests, from our stagers, like working with like homeowners associations or with clients, is that the 2 million, 4 million exceeds what the required coverage is for those associations. Like typically it's a 1 million, 2 million with a 1 million umbrella. So the 2-4 would meet those limits, just as is, instead of having that umbrella coverage.
I'm just saying, this is all over our marketing. It's in our client point templates. It's in websites. It's in our training. So we're gonna have, if we're gonna change it, it's fine. I'm just telling them, not only for corporate, but all you guys out there as well. You're gonna need to really scrub your data. So I guess is the what $4 or $5 million policy, is that something you guys are using in your marketing and sales pitches right now?
As well as does anybody have contracts out there that require that?
No, not in Philly, and no, we don't use it for any of our.
We do work with EPCON, retirement communities, and any of the larger organizations require those forms that Leah sends me that show proof of liability on a commercial basis.
Well, if Leah's providing them, though, they're not requiring $5 million limits, I would assume.
Yeah, from our experience, 2 million, 4 million exceeds coverage for most HOAs. But I want to understand, so you're recommending, because we currently do have our own individual umbrella, sounds like we will not need that going forward, correct?
When you say umbrella, do you mean an actual umbrella policy, or you have a different policy? Okay.
Yes, we have a separate umbrella policy. Right, Leah?
Yeah.
You should know. I think we do.
Yeah, currently just like looking at your account, there's a couple different coverages that we can kind of talk about separately, just because it's your own personal information. So I don't want to be responsible for broadcasting it. But it looks like in your case, multiple of your policies will now be able to be canceled and covered under this one policy that meets the limits that you need, like as previously discussed for all your certificates. But we can talk about that separately if you would prefer.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
So Victor, you did an audit for all the franchisees earlier this year, right?
Yeah, I was the one that did that.
Good one. Okay. What was the big open issue? Was it the workers' comp? Well, do you recall the major
The
open
biggest
issue?
issues we found was just like there were certain franchisees that like didn't have general liability coverage in place, or they were missing, or they had general liability coverage, but they didn't have that professional liability component. So from that standpoint, we like that the main thing we were looking at was the general liability coverages. That's like what we kind of took inventory of. Anyone that has workers' comp, we also made note of that as well, but not all of them were like compliant there either. So our first focus was just getting the general liability portion taken care of and then kind of tackling the workers' comp after that.
Okay. So workers' comp is up to them, but I mean, it looks like around half of them have it. So correct?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, there's a couple that aren't currently like through Villanova that don't have GL coverage in place. So we did offer them quotes for that. And then we just let you guys know like who wasn't in compliant with those coverages and kind of left it there. So hopefully this process will now eliminate that and they'll just have the general liability coverage that they need along with the professional liability that's going to be included as well.
But not having workers' comp, I mean, isn't that a huge exposure for these guys?
Yeah, we never, obviously it's never going to be recommended just because if you do have, you know, a singular claim like that, that can really take you kind of for a ride, especially like from an expense standpoint. So we always encourage everyone to like at least get quotes for workers' comp and consider it. Probably about half, I would say, do have the workers' comp in place, but not everyone. So that can be definitely something. And in the application, it also says like, do you want to work quote for workers' compensation? So all that information will be listed there. So we'll be able to provide quotes for that as well. We don't carry that, as Victor said, in-house. It's with an outside carrier, but we'll still be able to provide you with the most competitive quotes that we can find.
Yeah, I'll go one step further. If you have employees on payroll or you're doing the old 1099 thing and that person really only works for you, you should have workers' compensation because not only is it financial burden, but there's laws in every state to say that you need to. And if they got hurt, you're looking at fines and potential legal action. So one area where I would not mess around with is workers' compensation out of all the coverages if you have people doing work for you.
I'll just add to that. I mean, you know, we're in California, probably the highest workers' comp coverage, you know, in the country in terms of cost. But our workers' comp
And they don't and they don't mess around with the 1099s either.
No, yeah, no, they wrote the law on that. But we've had workers' comp for many years, and it goes up every year. It seems like Hanover is what we used to have. It increased considerably. It was like $13,000 for us for a year. And these are just part-time employees that we have. But Leah was able to go out and I got quotes from three or four different companies. Leah was able to go out and get a very competitive workers' comp policy for us. So thank you for that. And so I think you know, they'll do a good job for you if you do get workers' comp coverage.
Nice.
Thanks for that,
Plug
Chris.
for
We
Leah.
try.
Yeah.
So next steps, I mean, number one, I can record this because it looks like around 30% of our franchisees did not make this call and they need to watch this or be aware of it. So are you guys going to put together kind of an overview with all the links and everything?
Yep, I'll put together an overview. I'm going to send over Christy. I'm not sure if it works for you or whoever I can send it to at Showhomes to make sure that the email addresses I have are the most accurate. So I'll put together like a little overview, maybe like a 1-page PDF, just explaining what we talked about along with the link to our application. And then all my contact information will be there. So you guys can call me directly as discussed if you have any questions regarding the application, but it should be easy kind of for them to follow along. And then if they have any follow-up questions, they can reach out to myself and we can schedule a call with Victor just to kind of review.
All right, guys, any other questions?
So I've been, this is Kay. I've been in and out of this call. Unfortunately, I was doing some work, but well, fortunately, but unfortunately. Anyway, so if you have, and I'm sorry, I know I probably missed this, but if you have coverage with you now, there will still need to be a new application filled out.
Yep, exactly, Kay. We'll still have to get the new application because it's like, even if you have current coverage right now, that's only for the staging portion of your business. And this policy is going to roll together everything that you guys are doing from the interior design project management to the updates to the with the home management standpoint. So this policy is going to roll all that into one. So we would still need an updated application.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. Sounds like there's some good savings that are going to happen because of this. So thanks for Al and everyone else and Victor and Leah putting this together. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend. All right. Bye.
Take care, everyone.